It's Monday, and of course, it's the 29th day of September 2025. How are you? I hope you had a wonderful night rest and you equally enjoyed your weekend. We did as well. We thank you so much for always waking up with us. My name is Nonye Mokoye. You're welcome to the show.
Anambra wishing you a peaceful Monday and a wonderful week ahead.
All right, we begin the show with taking a look at some of the stories making our headlines in our national dailies and, of course, stories trending on ABS website, and that will be in the program Press Review. You're welcome.
Begin the press review by making you acquainted with the news making rounds on ABS website. And the first story we have for you this morning is Nigeria at 65. Soludo calls for collective effort to build great country. Amaka Onwuzulike of ABS inducted into adulthood in Sube community. New Yam flood river Niger Marines Ose Onitsha food prices fall. Ex-PG in Sube community Ugude protests suspension from Sube Security Management and Finance Committee. Wafu B under 17 Golden Eaglets to tackle Ghana in semi-final. And that's all we have for you from ABS website.
All right. I think my interest goes to the New Yam that has flooded the market, and of course, food prices coming down. I know it will be a bit not just falling gidibam, but whatever happens, I think we're going to make a try to go and pick one or two yams before it goes up again, knowing our nation and what comes with it. But we thank God for this news. It's a great news for people in this part of the world, knowing that prices of goods and services skyrocketed so much in the past months or years, thereabout. But now that this news is coming, a lot of families will have a sigh of relief. You know, a lot to go to the market to pick one or two things, seeing that the food yam that has flooded the market has actually affected other food supplies to come down a bit.
Not only yam, what is it called? Sweet potato too, and the rest of it all. Even pepper seem to have, come down a little bit. So I think we need more of that. But that doesn't mean that the federal government wouldn't need to do the needful. That's by protecting farmers and making sure that headers farmers clash are brought down to the barest minimum, and then ensuring security, you understand, surrounding those farming agrarian communities all over the country. Well, quickly, let's see what the governor is saying, talking about Soludo calling for collective efforts to build great country. Yeah, in this part of the world, we all believe that we are stakeholders in the project called Nigeria, a greater Nigeria for that matter. But sincerely speaking, when you talk about responsibility of building a great country, just take it like the home. The home comprises of father, mother, then children, you understand? Maybe in some extended cases, you have aunties, grandparents, and the rest of it all staying together under one roof. But the bulk of it falls on the parents. And the bulk of a greater nation falls on our leaders. If our leaders lead by example, it will trickle down. Nigeria will get better when leadership from top trickles down to bottom.
You know, but let's look at this from another angle. An individual of 65 years is a grandfather today. Some
grandfather,
some
grandmother.
are even great grandmothers.
Okay.
At 65. So at this point in our lives as a nation, you know, there is where we are supposed to be at this point. There are things that should not be seen around us at this level. You know, we should be more matured than we were during you know, when we were
young, much younger,
during the time of independence. You know, growing to the matured age of 65 is no mean feat. And somebody that is 65 should be able to take decisions, should be able to
the
stand,
right decisions.
yeah, right decisions, should be able to stand your ground, know what you want as a person, know what you believe in, know where you are going, and where you're coming from, and of course where you're going. So we expect better, and this should be a collective responsibility. It's not just for anybody. Wherever you find yourself, that little office where you are, know that you have a role to play to make Nigeria great. And when we think that way, because sometimes when you talk to people that Nigeria cannot work except we all agree that we have a role to play, each and every one of us, except that happens, I don't think we'll make a way. In as much as it will start from the head, but every individual in this nation should know that you have a role to play to make Nigeria great again. The first paper for review this morning on Good Morning Anambra show is the Daily Times newspaper. Let's see stories making the headlines in front of the Daily Times. FG urges Pengasan to shelve strike, resolve feud with Dangote. That's the banner headlines in front of the Daily Times newspaper. And we see other stories, allegations of genocide against Christians, false, divisive, that's coming from Minister ADC to Tinubu, seeking UN Security Council seat, baseless without securing lives of Nigerians. Withdraw appointments of APC members as REC Serap tells Tinubu. Now on Rabies Day, 70% of dogs in Nigeria require vaccination to contain rabies. CBN boosts Naira with $70 million forex sales as reserves hit $42.2 billion. And of course, let's quickly take a look at the next paper before we talk. Authority newspaper, FG denies terrorist genocide against Christians. We have a rider there saying, says Christianity not endangered, marginalized in Nigeria. 13,543 terrorists killed, 10,000 hostages rescued in past 2 years. I wonder where this report is coming from. And the North Central Group demands 2027 the presidency warns against neglect. DSS to arraign ex-Facebook Showore on Tuesday over alleged false claim against Tinubu. Abuja Kaduna train service resumes next week. APC accuses Soludo of plotting to rig Anambra Guba poll. Okay, well, other stories. Nigerian journalist set to break global longest interview marathon record. 2027 obedience have no place in Ebonyi. Omar is speaking. Tinubu charges military on eradicating insurgency. Pengasin begins indefinite strike today over Dangote workers' sack. All right, these are some of the stories we're trending this morning in Authority, and of course, Daily Times newspaper. Let's see. Federal government are begging that Pengasin should not go on strike. Then in Authority, we see that they are starting the strike today. The time is just about to 8. Let's see what happened today.
No, so Pengasin in their press release, of course, because of the impasse they have with Dangote group of company, stated that their members should go on, proceed, should down their tools starting from today. I can't remember the last time we had this kind of rift or labor issue in Nigeria. But where my worries lie is, I just want to imagine how families who are already destabilized would even keep up, and then those small businesses. So in Nigeria, we should understand that every ill policy, every bad behavior further leads people into poverty and further kills businesses. But we might just think it's just one of those things. I'll continue to share this experience. Just last year, a 2-day warning strike embarked by Nigerian Medical Association and the medical doctors made us lose one of our loved ones, who is also in the media. He works with, I think, this station at Nnewi. just what happened. He fell sick that period. They wanted to take him to the hospital because na youth, doctors were on strike. A lot of complicated stories. Just that 2 days warning strike, we lost a bright soul. And I want to imagine how the family have been faring since then. And he just got married, a young wife with a new baby. These people's life have been altered, I tell you. So Pengassin going on strike is going to affect a lot of things in Nigeria. Beyond that, the question is, can't we always just, everybody understand the good thing that they are supposed to do and do them? And we are calling on the federal government to intervene in this. Well, Pengassin have the right, if I am to say, to defend their own. Because if I was actually working with Dangote company and I was laid off, claiming it's sabotage, I would not also feel happy. I would expect people to come to my aid, to fight for me, to defend me, and I think that's what Pengassin is doing.
But another thing, another thing, when you are given an appointment letter to work in an establishment, I believe that there are rules and regulations. There are things that will be put in writing that you should not do so and so. Like if in government offices, there's a level you get to. You no longer belong to, unions. Yes, there are some level when you get to, you no longer be part of unionism in any civil service. So I don't know whether that was contained in their letters before they accepted to do the work.
So let's get one thing clear too. So we all understand every man can use his tongue to count his teeth, right? So we all understand why Dangote group of companies laid these people off. But they are not actually saying because they joined the union. They are saying it's sabotage, and we know what that sabotage means. And Dangote himself, in the past, had made mention that they are allowed to join any union they want to join. So I think because of the emerging trend concerning Dangote, how he's been fought by both Ipman and the likes of them, and then maybe they are now taking another dimension to the battle. But this also worries us. Why up to 1,000 plus people will be laid off just like that? I mean, it caused that really people who should defend them actually need to come up to defend them.
Let me just say something. Since you're talking, you're standing on the claim on Pengassin being maltreated in this impasse. But now this is it. We have ASU, isn't it? Which
yes.
Is Association of Union of
University Staff Union.
University Staff Union, and we have private universities, Covenant, Babcock, and the rest of it all. These are still universities, and they have lecturers that are teaching, but they don't belong to ASU. So when ASU is going on strike, you don't expect somebody in Bayes University in Babcock to shut down school. Dangote is a private business. The same thing with schools in Anambra State. Soludo came and said free education, nursery to JSS 3, and now moved it to SS 3. So it behoves of you as a parent to take your school there. But they are equally private schools, and Soludo is not giving free education in those private-owned schools. So it depends on where you want to. How can I set up a business and you now be the one to tell me how the people that are working in my business will go on your own strike when I'm an independent business? I'm not government. So you don't see that Dangote equally needs to do things the way he wants to do and probably maybe bring sanity? Why will I be paying you 1.3 trillion in a year because you guys are licensed, you guys are part of my crew? What do you say about that? Because Dangote is talking on the part of trying to break the stronghold, the monopoly of these unions. And these people are saying that whether you are with us or not, you definitely be part of us and be paying us this money. What's your take on that? Okay, so we go to the next paper.
So eventually, the way I see these things, context is very, very important. So why in universities and ASU? So we understand clearly that ASU, in as much as it started, of course, when did private universities start up in Nigeria? So ASU primarily was set up for public universities. Where in as much as people have the right to freedom of association and the likes. But let's remember that Dangote, in as much as he is a private-owned business, But I also remember that Dangote is a PLS, that public limited company. So he has also brought himself out to the public. To a reasonable extent, he's no more as privatized and as individualistic as it used to be. And these people, of course, have their rights as Pengasin members or as workers in Dangote to join the union. However, whatever stage it is, for me, I'm not even looking at it if they've joined or if they've not joined. That is not really my own area of interest. My own areas of concern now is, for me, I fear the monopoly that we are giving to Dangote. And we understand what has happened to Dangote Cement and how other programs that he holds. Of course, the regulations, it's very difficult for it to be regulated. That is my concern.
But
And another concern.
That concern should fall on the Nigerian government to resuscitate these ailing refineries and then give Dangote a run for his money.
Or even for other people to key into what Dangote has done, other big people and big shots in Nigeria,
exactly. And then
so that the prices of these petroleum products will come down. Because all these things, the elephants fighting, it remains the
yes, so,
grass.
eventually it's the grass that will
the
suffer
grass
it
suffering.
because
Let's run for want of time. Let's go to the next paper.
Yeah, the next paper for review this morning is the Punch newspaper. Let's begin by giving you stories making rounds from the mast of the newspaper. Christians not endangered or marginalized, federal government tackles critics. That story you'll find on page 7. And then we have Adamawa ADC gives Atiku ultimatum to pick membership card. Okay, we have Otedola to Umar Sani. You're ignorant on subsidy claims is alarming, with riders saying calls on federal government to release AIG Imokede's report slams 1 billion libel suit against ex-presidential aide, says Zenon only imported diesel without subsidy, insists he raised the alarm that led to the probe. And then the banner headline screaming, marketers fear fuel price hike as Pengasin strike begins. With riders saying oil union orders shutdown of power plants, alleges military foiled crude supply stoppage. TUC threatens strike, members on standby, federal government intervenes to meet Pengasin today. Petrol export hits 371 billion naira amid heavy import reliance. And also we have pro-Wike lawmakers absent at Fubara's Independence Thanksgiving. Police rescue trafficked Ghanaian, arrest 5 in Ogun. And we have Osun PDP, APC clash as federal government releases local government allocation. 2027, NGE warns politicians against personal attacks. Next, for review this morning, is the Vanguard newspaper with the banner headline talking about toxic harvest. Hazardous pesticide harm food production and exports. That's coming from experts. No genocide against Christians in Nigeria. As strikes begin today, federal government went into Dangote Pengasin face-off. Dangote blasts Pengasin. Whoa. Only recall of members can stop strike. That's Pengasin saying. Editors to security agencies, stop misusing cybercrime act against journalists. And then we have customs commences one-stop shop cargo clearance. And we have Ponzi, SEC raises alarm over AI-generated investment scams. And then we have here at the mast, INEC disclosed details of selection process for Yakubu's successor, Sarah, asks Tinubu. Jonathan will contest, will return to Aso Rock in 2027 on PDP ticket. That's coming from Jerry Ghana. And then Nigeria suffering, bleeding at 65. That's coming from Ralph Obioha. And that's all we have for you from the front pages of both newspapers. That's the Punch and the Vanguard newspaper. Now, let's dive in. While we are talking about food shortages, high cost of food, then the banner headline on the Vanguard newspaper is talking about toxic harvest, hazardous pesticide, and food production and exports. with the riders saying $362.5 million lost to export reject, and at over 23,400 metric ton pesticides imported annually. We banned pesticides injurious to health. That's DG of NAFDAC. Agric Ministry keeps mum on impact of pesticide. Experts express deep concern and counsel federal government. Sincerely speaking, this is a lot to say about the health, and then this illness Nigerians are falling prey of on a regular basis. You see somebody of 30 years diagnosed with dialysis, having kidney issues and the rest of it. Not too long ago, I saw on social media where they used cement as pesticide in preserving beans, as a storage, material or
substance.
tool, yeah, to preserve beans. Cement, of all things. Samuel, are Nigerians responsible for the death of Nigerians out of ignorance, or government is failing on their duty? 24,000 metric tons of pesticide imported. Where are the farmlands that you're even going to use this? This really baffles me, and I don't really understand. What's your say on this?
So you are asking if Nigerians are clean Nigerians
out of ignorance.
Out of ignorance, whether it is out of ignorance or government ineffectiveness or insensitivity of everybody. It shows one thing. I don't know if we would be called neighbors of people who labor in doomsayers. Let me use that word. When we say Nigeria is almost a failed state, and we are saying this in respect to there is a way systems operate, and in the operations of systems, there are people who should foresee circumstances ahead of time and control them from happening. It's unfortunate that these things are happening in Nigeria, where, of course, we even lost a friend at 28 years, very young, a girl, due to kidney failure. She was subjected to dialysis. And then, while we are even saying of this, the health sector is in shambles. Government keeps spending money in the health sectors. They make noise about it. They say it as an achievement. But when the citizens go to achieve or access these health care services, they seem not. Those areas seem to be a shadow of itself for whatever reason. And the truth is, the government is supposed to, ahead of time, beyond the publications. I think this is a red flag that by this time, we are expecting all the agencies and sister agencies of both the Ministry of Agriculture, of Ministry of Health, of both NAFDAC and the likes of them, to begin massive awareness, both to the citizens and those, the sellers, the dealers, the suppliers of these, so that, and then come up with also a policy. But we announce this, we cry, and it ends as that. This shows that the government has been highly ineffective. To see a government that is effective, they would not even want the media to report it. They would.
And from your submission, it boils down to confirming what Ralph Obioha actually said on the mast of Vanguard newspaper there, that Nigeria is suffering bleeding at 65.
So that is what it is, because the essence of a state is for the state to protect its people. Economically, make economic policies that would make them prosperous. Security-wise, make sure that no strand of their hair is touched, and the likes of it. And they do this, both their policies, both their programs. And you see it also in the day-to-day activities of the government. But look at what we have today. We now have the DSS fighting for the president. I say the president cannot fight for himself. Worst case scenario, even if the president is so honorable that he doesn't want to go into the case, I think he has a department that was set up by him that can go into that. He also has, he can sue the gentleman, Sowore, and then let them go strictly into legal battle. But now, involving the DSS, and we know the roles and responsibilities of the DSS, so we have also mobbled everything that we don't know who is doing what anymore. And these things are happening why these people, because they want to make more money at their own insensitivity and then being wicked, they are now resorting to a lot of other things. And let's not forget to ask, what has even the Ministry of Agriculture done to these people as an alternative? Don't do this. This is another way that you can actually store your goods and products. Let's remember one time in the past, we've talked about post-harvest loss. So these people, over time, they keep losing their, not trying to make a brief for them.
And
really.
I don't think any official has come up to say anything concerning that beans issue. I don't think we have seen that, have you?
I've not seen.
You know, for somebody maybe from Ministry of Agriculture or Minister of Agriculture to come up to talk, you know, comment on that particular.
How did these farmers even
know,
get to know that you can actually use cement to preserve beans? Where did they even get
so
the
over time, let's not even forget that I think even in the past, like 5 years ago or thereabout, we've seen people using sniper to pour on beans because to kill those weevils. And then for them, they've heard that sniper is very potent.
And that has made foreign countries to reject
our products.
Yes,
exactly.
That's why we're having this 362 million.
Exactly.
Especially these beans. I know that there's a country you can't go in with beans from Nigeria if you're coming from Nigeria.
Exactly.
You know.
And it's so bad that even even using these pesticides, why planting is discouraged. How much more after you have harvested. Then you are now still putting it on it. I mean, this is direct poisoning.
All right, let's quickly run. Let's go to the next paper for review. This day newspaper. Now we see FG waits into Dangote Pengasin dispute as union begins strike action. We've seen that story. FG rubbishes international claims of religious genocide in Nigeria. We have riders there. Idris says over 13,543 terrorist criminal neutralized, discloses 10,000 hostages rescued. Now Ghana, Nigerians now know the difference after Buhari Tinubu want Jonathan back. Says ex-president will contest 2027. Oh, say Ghana, sorry, not Ghana. Ghana is speaking. Says 2027 poll in PDP. Niger PDP elects new officials. And of course, BOI gets ISO 27701 certification for milestone in data protection. The next paper is the Guardian newspaper. Let's see stories from the Guardian. Nigeria risks 14.7 billion naira daily loss. Fuel crisis as Dangote Pengasin rift deepens. Otedola asked federal government to release a subsidy panel report on mask real beneficiaries. We have readers there. Describes Omar Sani's claims as mischievous, baseless, product of ignorance. Says Xenon never traded petrol, could not claim subsidy, moves to sue for 1 billion naira over libel. All right, over 1 billion naira over libel. That's coming from Otedola. Resident doctors issue federal government 30-day ultimatum over unmet demands. Bandits kill 10, kidnap several in Kwara. FG dismisses religious terrorism allegation. SEC warns of AI investment scams targeting Nigerians. Punishing suicide attempt undermines mental health reform. And of course, World Heart Day. Cardiovascular disease burden worsens amid shortage of specialists. All right, a lot of stories trending. Okay, insecurity, ADC says Tinubu unqualified to seek UNSC seat. FG orders edge unity, shared responsibility at 65th Independence Service. So Shunolge PDP query FG, demand details of released LG funds. All right, let's talk. You know, a lot of stories here. I don't know which one we are going to look at. Nigeria bleeding at 65, and here doctors are equally warning to go on strike. You know, you said something, or you mentioned something about concerning the health sector in this country, and we've seen resident doctors went on strike recently in FCT. I think last month they went on strike. Now
this month, just 3 weeks ago.
Yes,
that
okay.
they
I'm not now. The resident doctors again are issuing a 30-day ultimatum over unmet demands. As doctors are going on strike, Pengasin are threatening their own. ASU, I don't think ASU have relaxed their own or something. So what actually is going on? And we are celebrating our 65th anniversary.
So personally, I don't even envy the president. This is not really, it has never been a wonderful time to lead Nigeria. So I know growing up, economic-wise, they would always tell us scale of preference. Why you're talking of scale of preference, that demands, human needs are insatiable, and then there are a lot of things competing for scarce resources. We knew all those things. And we also know that the president understands it. Even if he does not understand it, he has an economic team that he's working with that should also understand these things. But the issues that I think many of these unions have with the government is their own expenditures, their own public life seem not to be in tandem with the realities on ground. It seems to be conflicting with our economic realities, and it also conflicts with what they tell these
talking about
groups,
the union
like the unions now.
Okay.
So if it is the government had met these people, of course, let's not forget that even all of us, those that are civil servants, the government can easily say that minimum wage has been increased to 77,000, so you should not complain. But we know, in as much as that money, we are still battling, has it actually been implemented, to what extent, and what are the mathematics in the implementation of this minimum wage? We know that we cannot go home happy. The money as it's coming in, when you go to the market, a lot of things have doubled. Is it on transportation? Is it on house rent and the likes of it? So people will continue to complain, really. So this union, both ASU, both NAD, as the Nigerian Association of Resident Medical Doctors and the likes of them, and ASU and Pengasson and the likes, what they have just wanted to see is a government's commitment that we don't have this, or this is what we have. So by this time, this period of time, give it time, like this is what we are going to give to you people. And then in their own lifestyle, you see that these people have cut expenses significantly.
No, it has never been this growing up. Why must why must we continue to tell you what to do when you actually know what you're supposed to do and you're not doing it? You know, before now, we've not been hearing of this, ASU said this, resident doctors said this, because then government seems to be working. So where did we miss it? Where have we gone wrong that we're no longer getting it right? And ASU will continue to beg you to give them what they needed to work with.
So we missed it completely where we started selecting leaders, leaders who are not the true representation of the people. So there's a way governance work. The people see the situation, they know the person that they connect with, the person that they can resonate with. And when elections happen, I think they elect that person. If that person successfully wins, you see, like in Abia State, we know what happened when OT was in power, as in when he was newly sworn in. To the extent that the road he did, there was a part, those barricades at the middle of the road. I don't know, a driver had accident and one of them fell down. Citizens on their own stood up, came together, mobilized themselves, and repaired it and kept it the way that it's supposed to be. Because they now see that this thing belongs to all of them. They feel that the person they want is there, so they can naturally support the person even without being told.
So it could be a benchmark.
Of course.
As Nigeria celebrates
65. So
65 years. You know, we can start now. So Ajulo, begin to wrap up for want of time.
Okay, that's the much we can take this morning on the press review. We definitely want to thank you very much, Samuel Lolo, for making yourself available for press review this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me. Dalon.
Yeah, and quickly, let us go on, and then the next segment is going to be the discussion segment. Don't go anywhere, because we all will be strapped on our seats with the guests that we'll be having next. The show continues after this time out.